Well, greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 180 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis, and I am your host. And as always, I'm joined by the best gosh darn co-host out there. That is one Mr. Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name. But what's confusing you is just the nature of my game. Just as every cop is a criminal and all the sinners saints, as heads as tails, just call me Lucifer, because I'm in need of some restraint.
You got me on this one, Rick. I'm drawing a complete and utter blank.
All right, what if I followed it up with a hoo 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 hoo?
Okay.
Pleased to meet you.
Oh,
Hope you guessed my name. Come on.
no, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't recall.
That'd be Sympathy for the Devil by
Rolling Stones.
and Rolling Stones.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Why am I greeting you with Sympathy for the Devil, Bob?
Is it because we're viewing a Daredevil story tonight?
We are, Bob. We are covering, actually, hold on.
Look at you.
Yo, we are covering today Daredevil 283. It is a tie-in to the Captain America story that we've been doing for Streets of Poison.
That's pretty exciting stuff. I know this was like turning on a dime, right? I don't think we initially intended to review this, but it became so like necessary. Well, maybe not necessary, but it we talked about this and said, hey, like we got to do this. This is an important book to cover.
Yeah, so we've been covering the Streets of Poison story from Captain America. We just last episode did, I think it was part 3, right? And of the 7-part story. And Cap has accidentally been exposed to a drug on the street called ice. And he's been acting peculiar ever since. And this is actually, for some reason, they decided to do a tie-in with Daredevil around the same time. And then Daredevil's in the pages of Captain America. Captain America's in the pages of Daredevil. And so we thought, you know what? Let's cover it now. It's a little behind, right? I think we're like one issue behind on where it should be, but it'd be fun to cover this story. So as you know, I'm a huge Daredevil fan as well. So looking forward to covering that with you today.
Yeah, and I know you're a huge Daredevil fan. I remember when I first started collecting comics, and back way in issue 1, we talked about how we got into episode 1. We talked about how we got into collecting and our early experiences. And in my experience, I talked about going to the local comic shop where my friends had been going, and I saw Captain America, some older ones in the stacks, and I picked those up, and then picked up some new ones off the spinner rack. And at that exact same time, I remember seeing Daredevil comics, and I remember I picked up, probably over the course of 6 or 7 months, I picked up probably 6 or 7 issues of Daredevil.
Oh yeah,
in a series. Yeah.
Do you remember what year it was?
Oh, I don't.
Just guess.
I don't. It was probably 1980, 81.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember the story?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have those. Issues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I just, I decided, like, I was, I really love Captain America. I'm just going to keep focusing on Captain America, and that's what I did. But I, I still have those, and every now and again, I'm going through my comics and I come across those. I think it's like 7 issues, and it takes me back to seeing those on the spinner rack as well. But I never really got into Daredevil. But you've got me interested in the character because he's so important to you as well, and you've said so many things about the character and why you like the character. So,
oh yeah,
I'm glad we're reading one.
Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I mean, we've talked endlessly about why we love Captain America and Steve Rogers. Matt Murdock, he's he's a conflicted hero, right? Raised Roman Catholic, and like myself, so I can relate to some of the things that he thinks about or talks about. And he had a tragic childhood. He lost his mom at an early age. His father, single father, was raising him. Almost sounds like a Disney cartoon, right?
Does, yeah.
And then his dad was a boxer, but he made Matt study, and he didn't want him to end up like him, right? And so Matt Murdock, when he was just a kid, saw this blind man walk out into the middle of the road in a busy downtown, I guess was Manhattan, and there was a truck carrying some radioactive waste, because that's what you do through a downtown city. And he saw that this blind man was about to be struck by the truck, and he just reacted and went out there and saved the man, pushed him out of the way, but causing the truck swerved, and then the radioactive material laughed, went out and hit him in the eyes, blinding him. Um, and so here he was, blinded, and his father doing the best that he can. And the kid was you know, picked on when he was younger, and he was given the nickname Daredevil when he was little, and he eventually his father was um, uh, he decided not to take a dive. The mob boss was like, you know what, I'm going to pay you this much money, and he needed the money. He took the money, but he didn't take the dive, and so the mob boss lost a lot of money, and then he killed him. And so here's a young Matt Murdock orphaned. So tragic childhood, um, but his other senses overcompensated for his blindness, and so he developed what he called a radar sense. And so very much like a bat, right? It would put out the kind of like the sonar, so he couldn't maybe see your face, but he could see the outline of your face, right? And he knew he could see that you were a man, a certain height, certain weight. But then his other senses, his sense of smell, sense of hearing, his sense of taste, and things like that, so he could tell what you had for dinner tonight, right? Just by your breath, or sense, if you had some, if you were sweating or something like that. He also could hear so well that he could hear people's heartbeats and tell if someone was lying or not by the beating of the heart, and the pulsing, the racing of the pulse, right? So, anyway, he developed all these, and then there is this a character by the name of Stick, who end up he's a leader of a martial arts clique that is to go up against the Han, which is like the Japanese yakuza, military, um, ninja, mafia, army type of that follows what they call the beast. So there's a lot of mystic type of thing in it as well. And Stick trains him because he's blind. Stick's blind as well, and brings him on to his team. But that wasn't for Matt. So Matt wanted to finish his law degree, and go to law school, finish his law degree, and become an attorney. And so he's a very noble character. He during the day practices law as a defense attorney, and tries to protect people during the day, and then at night he puts on the Daredevil costume and acts as a vigilante.
I like that. I like that. And that's a good recap, Rick. I knew none of that. I mean, I knew he was blind, right? And I knew he had these extra overcompensated senses. I knew he was a lawyer, but the
Hmm.
rest of it's all new to me. So thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah, very noble character.
yeah.
Always liked him. I guess I've always had a soft spot for regular type of
Mm.
characters, like a Batman, like a Robin or Nightwing, like those that are just like you and me, but overcame adversity and did something about it. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, yeah, we'll cut to that today. Before we get into it, Bob, how's your week going?
Can't complain, Rick. I'm working from home this week because I think I've mentioned before. I work out of a triple wide trailer that's I guess leased by the Water Management District, the Fish and Wildlife Commission folks in there. My staff are in there, but there was a septic issue this week. The septic tank collapsed, and so
Oof.
yeah, it's a real show. And so
Literally.
yeah, literally. So they said, if you can work remote this week. So I told my staff work remote, and so I'm home, and it's my son's spring break this
Hmm.
week, so he's super excited to have me around.
I
And
bet.
he's not. I took him to breakfast this morning though.
Yeah,
You
where'd you
know,
go?
that was cool. We had just a local cafe.
Hmm.
It was cool, just the two of us having breakfast, and yeah, so it's cool getting to spend a little quality time here and there with the boy, because it goes fast, right?
It really does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm gonna play proud papa right now.
Do
So
it.
right this weekend, all about my kids, right? And my kids are older, and so my son, who graduated from college a year ago, when did I get old? Oh my God. He graduated with a degree in theater and also arts administration, double major. And he is actually right now, Bob. He is touring in a musical as the lead. Wow, he's in 85 cities in 4 months between United States and Canada. And now the musical it's for kids. And you wouldn't know because you don't have a kid that age, but there's a phenomenon out there called
Flippy.
Blippy,
Okay.
and it's this guy, and it's for preschoolers, right?
Yeah.
And think of the Wiggles,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Something similar to that. He
Sure.
dances, he sings,
Yeah.
he explains different things. He has a 2-minute song about brushing your teeth. Uh, and
Which is how long you should brush your teeth.
exactly,
Exactly. So
right?
yeah.
And so yeah, my son is Blippy. He's touring around as Blippy. So
What an
he
awesome
actually
experience.
comes to NJ Pack when we're recording this. It's this Sunday, and so our Saturday. So I'm gonna go see him. And then I got a T-shirt made, Bob.
You did.
I did.
You love
Uh,
making t-shirts. So
I
what's
do
this
love
one?
making T-shirts.
Yeah.
This one is a picture of my son as Blippy, and it's on the front and on the back, and it says, "I'm proud to be Blippy's dad." And I have that on the front and the back, so that way I am not the creepy old guy at this concert
By
where
yourself.
where I'm by myself because my wife can't make it, and
Yeah.
so I'm going to this
Big
show.
bag of hard candy. Yeah.
I got the van parked right out front.
Ah,
And so now my wife thinks I should be wearing a trench coat and shorts. And I'm
right.
like, no, I am not doing that. And then it's cool. Like, you go to a Comic-Con and you can buy these tickets for like meet and greets and you
Yeah.
get photos with
Right.
there's a meet and greet with Blippy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my son is he goes and he meets the kids afterwards, and
Yeah.
he's in his little cutout cardboard of a train that he's the conductor or something, and he's
Yeah.
there, a little kid. So I have to wait in line
Of course you do.
afterwards.
Yes.
So I gotta have the T-shirt. It says
Right.
I'm Blippy's dad. I swear I'm Blippy's dad.
I'd
Uh,
be great if he's like, who is this man? I have no idea who this is.
security.
Security. Oh, that's great. Well,
And
that's
then
going to be a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sunday is and my daughter, she's in a competition. She's captain of the color guard, so I have to push props, Bob.
Yeah, you got to be a prop guy.
I am the prop
Yeah,
guy.
don't hurt your back this time. I remember last time you hurt your back or
There was a
something.
time before that.
Yeah.
It has healed up, so I've been able to push props since
All
then.
right. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Good. You don't want to overdo it.
Uh how's last time I talked to you, you were talking about Bobby possibly getting braces, but you gave him the
Yeah.
$8,000 guilt trip that buys a lot of comics.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, we went today, in fact, to see another orthodontist, to get a second opinion, and it actually came in a couple $1,000s less, and he would actually have to wear the braces. She thought for less time. So on the drive home, I said, "Hey, Bobby, like you gotta really think about this because it's not just the cost and it's not the time. Those things are important considerations, but what's really important is the amount of confidence you feel in the doctor's ability to meet your expectations. You don't want to get to the end of this process and not be happy with the results. And
Hmm.
so you need to weigh that against, everything else. But that should definitely be your number one priority. But that said, the difference between 8,000 and 6,000 is a really nice comic. And he looked at me with sort of a blank expression for about 5 or 6 seconds, wondering if I
Yeah.
was kidding. And then he realized I wasn't. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess a decision to be made soon, huh?
There's a decision to be made. I said, sleep on it tonight and we'll talk more later this week or, tomorrow or whatever.
And then I've got this other guy behind in an alley. He's gonna do it for
Yeah, I can
four
get this
hundred
done
dollars.
really, really cheap. I was surprised though, Rick. When I was in high school, way back in the '80s, early '80s, right?
Uh-huh.
There was maybe one or two people in my class that had braces. In fact, I remember who they were.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But now it's very, very common. All his friends have braces,
Yeah.
and what was cool about this orthodontist place is I had no idea. This blew my mind, but like they come in different colors now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like a color palette,
I would go with the clear one.
and it had about 20, but you could have like rainbow ones, but they're
Yeah, I
like
know.
they're like jewels. They're sort of
Yeah, but you're
translucent.
wearing it for a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh no, they switch them out, I guess.
What?
It's bizarre. Yeah. So like, well, like, he's got his friends who are girls have them and they're like bejeweled. And that's a thing now. And but it's so much more common now than it
So
was.
they got a little bling in their mouth.
They got bling, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know.
All right.
Times change,
Up
right?
in their grills.
Up in their grills, right? Yeah. The girls with the grills. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Um, hey Bob, so real quick on Facebook. So we're a little behind on getting March Madness out, and we're doing Cap Madness. This is year number 4, and we're going to be doing favorite Captain America artists. So going back to 2020, I'm going to go with the results of how many votes there were for each artist. And then I'm going to rank them on that. So it's not going to be done alphabetically. It's going to be based on where they are seated. So it should be a lot more interesting this time. If you're not part of our Captain America comic book fans Facebook group, please join if you want to vote. We're going to kick it off this Sunday, right? So it's going to be Sunday, March 24th. And it is, we're going to kick it off at noon Eastern time. And you have 24 hours to vote. And it's going to be, again, seated. So it'd be really cool. And then every day come back, because at noon Eastern time, we will put the next one. And we're going to go through 16, right? Because we have 32 Captain America artists. So we'll have 16 weeks of, or 16 days of that. We'll take a break and then we'll do the Sweet 16 and then we'll do the Elite Eight, Final Four, and then we'll get to the championship. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll end sometime in April, right? But check it out. I always have a lot of fun seeing everybody's not only how they're voting, but why. And they put in
Mhm.
the comments, like why this is somebody that they should vote for.
Yeah, it gets spirited. There's lots of great examples. Folks often post, covers or panels or whatever to reinforce their point. It's usually a great time had by all. So I'm looking forward to it again this year.
Absolutely. Should we get to today's comic, Bob?
I think we probably should.
Uma pausa no seu podcast para falar sobre a beleza, essa força poderosa que nos move. No Grupo L'Oréal, nós criamos a beleza com sustentabilidade. Utilizamos em nossas embalagens 85% de plástico PET de origem reciclada. 65% dos ingredientes vieram de base biológica ou derivados de minerais abundantes. Grupo L'Oréal, nós criamos a beleza que move o mundo.
Interrompemos esse podcast para perguntar: quem você quer ser?
Designer, engenheira, pedagoga,
administrador.
Quer saber? O Senac EAD é nota máxima no MEC. Tem cursos de diversas áreas, com conteúdo elaborado por especialistas do mercado e professores mestres e doutores. Ainda tem o Senac Carreiras, conectando estudantes a vagas de emprego em todo o país. Saiba mais em ead.senac.br/graduação.
All right. So as we mentioned, we are covering Daredevil 283. And this had a cover date of August 1990, which actually released in June 5th, or a couple months earlier. Bob, what were you doing August of 1990?
August of 1990, I had just recently arrived, I think, at my first duty station, Rick, as a brand new second lieutenant out in Yuma, Arizona. So I had graduated May of 1989, and then I had to go to the basic school, which is the entry level school for all Marine officers. We basically learn to be an infantry officer before you go off and learn whatever your occupation is going to be. And then I had, that's like a year. And so I had just graduated and reported in for duty in Yuma, Arizona in like June and July, which is the hottest time of the year. It's 120 degrees in the shade in Yuma. So
yes.
great,
And
great
you're
place.
starting your shift at 6 a.m. or something
Yeah.
ridiculous, right?
Right. Yeah. How about you? What were you up to?
Oh gosh. In the summer of 1990, I was no longer working as the first mate on my dad's charter boat, because I had given him my notice. And I was probably at this point, I was waiting tables. I was waiting tables at a restaurant in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
All right. Was this a like a mom and a pop or a chain, or did you have
Mm,
bling? Were you required to have bling? Let's just
no bling, no
Okay.
bling. Might have been required to wear a Hawaiian shirt,
Okay.
which I still own to this day.
Wow. Does it still fit?
Yeah.
All right. That's
Bob, look at me. Come on.
That is a mark of distinction, my friend.
Listen, I need to lose about 15 pounds, but
Uh-huh.
I can still fit in stuff from
Yeah.
back in that day.
I can too. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, thank you. You are a good friend. Here we are, right? Here we are, late March, and I told you in the beginning of in January that I needed to lose weight, and I think I told you like I lost 2 pounds in the first couple of weeks or whatever. You have not asked me once about that, and I don't think that's because you're forgetful and you don't care, because I know you do.
Uh-huh.
But I think you realize I'm not losing weight and you don't want to ask me.
I assumed it has been successful, Rick, because I could see you're svelte, like it's chiseled. And so I just assumed like you had exceeded your goals and we're done.
Nowhere close. Nowhere close. All right. So let's get to the creators on this. So the writer was Anne Nocenti. Now she had been a longtime Daredevil writer. She's up there, with all-time top Daredevil writers. Just so you know, penciler is Mark Bagley. Now, Mark was not typically on this. I think this was right after the John Romita Jr. run. Inker Al Williamson and Tom Morgan. So this, I got a feeling like this was kind of like a fill-in issue after, because we're coming in on a very long story. Speaking of Sympathy for the Devil, where Matt was going up against Mephisto, and I think it was around this time, yeah. But yeah, John Romita Jr. had been the artist for a while at this point. And then the colorist for this one, also by two people, Max Scheele and Richard Rash. So we have two different inkers, two different colors. It kind of tells you, like, maybe this was like an issue that was kind of done, on the quick side. Letterer Clem Robbins and editor Ralph Macchio.
Do it. Your fans demand it, Rick.
Wax off.
That gets me every time.
I do not have a solicitation for this one. But let's get to the cover, Bob. How would you describe Daredevil 283's cover?
Well, it's it's really it got you, gets you on the edge of your seat right away. You're like, what on earth is going on, Rick? Because what we see is a very large, it looks like it might be the side of like a building, right? A big concrete structure of some sort, and it has tipped over and it's leaning at like a 45-degree angle here. And we see both Captain America and Daredevil trying to hold it up. And we see a third individual. We don't know who this is yet. It's looks to be some sort of non-superhero, and he's laying on the ground, a little bit terrified, as I would be if this building was falling on us. And he's wearing, some gray slacks and looks to be a brown members only jacket, which was really big back there in the 1980s, early 1990s. And so, yeah, we're caught in the middle of this scene, and we don't know how we got here, and we don't know who this guy is, but we certainly want to find out.
And so I'm going to go ahead and take my copy out of here. You ever get nervous, Bob, when you're taking a comic out of the sleeve because it still has a little tape on it? Have you ever snagged a comic?
I have never snagged a comic. Not yet.
I have.
Have you?
It's not good.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Did you do that at a comic convention?
I did that. Captain America Annual #1.
I remember hearing about that. Right.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I guess I bought this one. I was at a comic book show, and I was like, is it okay if I take this out? Because I always ask first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy's like, yeah, that's fine. And I take it out, and I was like, and I was like, I guess I'm buying it. Yeah, so this is my handy dandy cover or copy that I've had all the way back since 1990. And now I'll just tell you a little bit about the corner box, right? So in the corner box here, it's by John Romita Jr. And it is Daredevil kind of standing there with his head turned, and he's holding with two hands his cane. So you can see this long white cane, and has a little curve at the end. And for those who don't know, that's his like when Matt Murdock is out there and he's using the cane to walk, right? And he's going back and forth and he's tapping. But he can take it apart, and it's his billy clubs. Yeah. And that's what he uses to fight with, which also has I wouldn't say a grappling hook, but it can like shoot out cable that he uses almost to swing like Spider-Man through the city.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
When I got to be honest with you, Rick, when I saw the corner box, some images just elicit a memory, something else, maybe not even directly related. And when I saw this, I thought Young Frankenstein.
Why?
You know the monster when he's got the top hat on and he's got a cane just like that? He's like, putting on the Ritz. You know that scene?
I do, yeah.
Immediately, I start hearing that in my head.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. And did you read the little blurb that's on the front?
I didn't read the blurb. Yeah.
Was there a reason you left the blurb out, Bob?
Well, I don't know. I thought we would get to it with the title.
The title's on the inside, Bob.
Well, I mean, the title of the book itself.
Did you not tell the title when I asked you to?
Well, I didn't.
It's on the cover, Bob. You're supposed to.
I know, but we generally, I
Bob,
do
it's
the
episode
graphics.
180.
I know, but I like to I thought I would do the like pictures and words. You're like a words guy. I'm more of a picture guy. So
Well, then describe the picture.
Ebony and ivory. It's like pictures and words. Why can't we?
You're my amigo, Negro. Let's be friends.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
I should probably explain that before
Yeah,
somebody
you
gets
probably
offended.
should. Yeah, that's a long time
And
ago.
that was Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live doing a version of the Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson song, and it was Stevie Wonder and Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
It is a great skit. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Bob, I'm going to let you finish doing your job and describing the cover.
All right. Wow. And this is really big for me because I've never read Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, title of the book. And the blurb, which really sucks you in with the image, is against such a crushing weight, even the power of Captain America might not save them. So play on words.
Couple things. Yes. Couple things. So, and the Captain America is done in the logo of Captain America.
Yep.
In case you needed that to tie it in to that comic. Now this image doesn't actually happen in the story, right? I saw this.
Spoiler.
You tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Underneath the crushing weight, right? This is symbolic of what's happening to this civilian who's laying on the ground, right? This crushing weight that's coming on the civilian.
Yeah.
I saw this as symbolic, and that Daredevil and Captain America were there to help protect this man from the crushing weight. How did you see it?
Yeah, well, I hadn't really thought that deeply about it, Rick, but now that I have reflected for a moment on it, I think you're absolutely right. It does make perfect sense that this is meant to be symbolic of what's going on in this story. And of course, as we dive in, we'll hear more about this man's plight and what Daredevil and Captain America are in the story trying to do to help him. But I think that makes perfect sense. And so nicely put.
All right. So, you're supposed to do the cover every single episode. You didn't give it any thought, your words, right? You didn't give any thought. And now that you had time to think about it, parentheses, what Rick said, you're now
I wasn't aware that like we're going to be psychoanalyzing the covers now, but
you're
okay.
the one.
All
You're
right.
the one who likes to you're deep, right?
Yeah.
You want to see the meaning behind things, right? Isn't that what you tell people?
Well, that's true. I like a little meaning, but yeah, I'm certainly going to next time we do this, I'm going to get myself a drink. I'm going to lay back on the couch and I'm going to think about my childhood a little bit and then see, a little stream of consciousness. I've been doing these presentations lately where I've been, discussing the Rorschach ink blot test. I'm going to see what bubbles up in my subconscious from these covers from this point on. I make no apologies for what that might be.
All right. I can't wait for the next 180 episodes.
Could be anything that bubbles up, Rick. I'm just warning you.
All right. All right. So we cut to the opening splash page, and it's the character, the civilian that we see on the front cover, who, how would you describe this man?
Well, he's an older gentleman, and I say that very carefully because some might.
He's probably your age.
Some might describe. My son would describe me as an older gentleman, but he looks to be in his early 60s, late mid 60s, maybe somewhere around that.
Bob, I would be described as an older guy. An
older guy.
Yeah.
Not a gentleman.
No,
just that guy, older guy over there. Yeah, I mean, he, the thing is, when I see this, and I don't know why, and I don't want to offend anybody, but like when I look at him, I think to myself, he looks like an indigenous person. And I don't know why
And
it strikes that.
now, when you say indigenous, are you
Yeah.
talking about Native
I
American?
am. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it because of the hair?
I think it might be because he does have, in this image anyway, he has, it looks to be long, sort of reddish brownish hair down to the back of his neck. And so I don't
Kind of
know.
like
I
a
don't know what it
mullet.
is. Yeah, well, yeah, it does have a mullety look to it. But in this, it just, I don't know. But he's an older gentleman. And as I said, he's got that brown members jacket on, looks like a black shirt underneath it. In this, he looks to be wearing some like blue pants, and he's got a flag wrapped around him, and it's a very large flag, and it's billowing in the wind. So you see the stars draped over his right shoulder, and the bars draped over his left shoulder, and he's got a very stern look on his face.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a mullet and it's business on the side, party in the back, serious, serious on the front. I'm telling you right now, he's got a serious look.
Oh, I'm so going to use that in the future. I mean, how can I not in Florida?
Listen to, and this is all in quotes, by the way. So it sounds like it's just like an inner monologue of this gentleman. And what's the title of this one, Bob?
It's The American Nightmare.
Oh, as opposed to The American Dream?
It appears to be so. Yes.
All right. So he is he's talking. It's kind of like I can't tell if it's an inner monologue or if he's talking to people. I think he's talking to people, but he's standing there very stoically, so you don't see his mouth moving. So this is all in quotes. Listen to me, America. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country and I had a dream. I dreamt the American dream. I dreamt of a wonderful invention that would save the world. America, do you know what you do? The world over, all eyes are on you. As the communist world breaks apart, as the Berlin Wall crumbles, as people unite and demand freedom and civil rights, their eyes are on you, America. They want to follow your example. They want freedom and prosperity. America, you could set an example and inspire the world. All eyes are on you. America, do you know what I see? This is what I think of the American dream. And then we cut to the next page, and wrapped in this flag in the middle of the night, he dives off the top of this building. And there's like police and crowd around him, and they're filming him. And then you cut to down below, and you see a crowd around, on the street level looking up, and in that crowd is Captain America and Daredevil, and he's falling, and you hear the crowd, they're all yelling, "He lied to us about that car." "No, he wasn't lying. The TV lied." And you see he has a smile on his face, even though as he's falling. But Cap and Daredevil have a look of surprise on their face. "We're too late. Victor." So then we cut to the next page, and it says, "That was the future. This is a day earlier, the present." Now that always confuses me, Bob. Right?
Yeah.
This is a day earlier, the
Uh,
present.
yeah.
Is it? But okay.
Yeah.
In upstate New York, where one adventure comes to a close. Now, this was the adventure I was talking about, where Daredevil was going up against Mephisto and some other creatures and so on, and he was with the Inhumans. So we see here a few of the Inhumans, Bob. So it's Gorgon, Karnak, and then there's a young lady with long blonde hair, and a young child as well in a jumpsuit, because that's what they wore back then in 1990.
They did actually. Yes.
So they're saying their goodbyes to Daredevil, and he leaves. I won't really go through this page because it's really not pertinent to the upcoming story. But as Daredevil's walking away, he's thinking, they probably think my abrupt exit is rude, but my senses are picking up disturbance in that town. And I can't explain knowing that without explaining my heightened senses. Maybe I kid myself. Maybe I'm just tired of saying goodbye. So we cut to the next page and we see our guy, Captain America. He's got a shield on his back and he is strolling through the inner city streets, and people are noticing him. He's big. Why is he in our town? Well, that lead went nowhere. Better get back to New York City. A wasted trip coming here. And then he comes up again onto like a magazine stand, and all the magazines are there, and it's Sam's Mags and Rags.
Love that.
What's a rag, Bob?
A newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do they call it that, Bob?
Well, I think it was the paper, right? The type of paper that was used to print newsprint.
Yeah.
So
There were even some newspapers titled that, right? Something called something rag or
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy behind in the newsstand, he's like, "Wow, Captain America! I only seen him on TV. What a great man! He wants a magazine." And he picks up the New Democrats. Bob, what's on the cover of the New Democrats?
Well, it looks to be a frog in an Uncle Sam hat, crouched on a globe of the planet Earth. It does look like it might be freezing over. There seems to be snow and ice, coming down from the North Pole around the globe as far down as the equator. And yeah, we've got this frog in a red jacket, looked like striped pants,
But it says America sets the rules.
It does say that. And I'm assuming this New Democrats might be a play on the New Republic magazine, which was a very progressive magazine since 1914 or something like that.
Take it. No charge for you, Captain. And he's looking at the magazine, and Cap flips out. Like he just flips out. Not again. We broke international law invading Panama. Now we're breaking the law again with this fabricated drug war. Why can't we leave Latin America alone? Haven't we exploited them long enough? Why? And he takes the magazine and he crumples it. Why can't my country stand for something right for a change? This so-called drug war just fuels the military defense budget, erodes civil liberties. We're on the wrong side of every war. And he takes the crumpled up magazine and he throws it back and hits the guy in the chest with it. And he walks away. And Cap comes up on a crowd. And let's pause here. That seemed a little abrupt for Captain America, don't you think?
Yeah, he doesn't usually fly off the handle that way. He tends to be more reserved in his opinions. At least, who knows how Cap feels inside, but he doesn't usually give voice to those feelings, so that others are privy to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely, over the top rude to the man behind the counter.
To Sal, right? Is it Sal?
Sam's. Yeah.
Sam's. He just chucks the magazine right at him and strikes him in the torso with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very rude.
Not like Cap at all.
No.
And then we hear a voice coming from the middle of the crowd. I made it myself. I put it together with garbage. The metal is from flattened coffee cans. The plastic from detergent bottles. All American products. I had a dream. Let me tell you about my dream. I dreamt there was no more oil industry. I had a vision of a car that flies on garbage and a song. Cheap to make? Just save your garbage and recycle it. Cheap to run? Runs on harmonics. No pollution? I call it the Harmony car. How would you describe the car, Bob?
Well, it looks like what are those? What are those old? Were they Volkswagen cars? The is it the Beast or they're sort of like an open jalopy, boxy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, very popular. They were used during the German army during
Mm-hmm.
World War II, and then they hit the civilian marketplace. You can still find them, you know, relatively cheap, but yeah, very square, squat, open top vehicle with a pop-up glass windshield in a frame. And but this one is it's white and it's got some stars and stripes on it, but it's also festooned with marketing promo, you know, promo placement. So we see Tide, the detergent, we see Coca-Cola and Maxwell House. Yeah, so it's an interesting looking vehicle, Rick.
And so Cap comes up front of the crowd and he's staring at. Now the other thing too, Bob, if you look on the very front of the vehicle,
Oh
it
yeah,
says Earth Day.
yeah. Well, and actually, technically, it says Earth Day.
I see the front of the E. I
Could
see
mean
the front of the
anything,
E.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's an interesting no one cares about this but me. Well, I mean probably I don't even care about it, but maybe my kids do. I don't know. I my first date with my first wife was on Earth Day 1990.
Was it really?
Yeah. So when this comic came out,
Yeah.
Earth Day, yeah,
Wow.
Cap is shaking the hand of the man who was just speaking. That's a fine dream you had, sir. I'm proud to meet you. Captain A, the honor is mine. I bet you love this country as much as me. Is everyone ready? By using harmonic resonance, you can alter matter. Run on garbage, the harmonics will make the car rise. Ready? And then, sure enough, the car hovers and then takes off. It worked. Yay, wow, he did it. And then Cap looks up and there's Daredevil, who is jumping over the rooftops following that car. Hey, that's Daredevil. Why is he here? Ben Urich at the Daily Bugle wrote a piece saying Daredevil's been missing from New York. He's following that car. Why? We turn to the next page and we cut to a scene of that man who is doing the car. He is he's flying in the car, but it's kind of like a weird. It's almost like if you would look at like a Gene Colan type of
Yeah.
style,
Right.
right? Like Mark
Yeah.
Bagley's doing his best Gene Colan imitation here,
Yeah.
and very stylistic. Later in a dream, mind awake, body asleep, mind awake, body asleep. That's what Victor Szeszkowska says to himself over and over before going to sleep. Because when he stays awake while dreaming, or lucid dreaming, as some call it, he can create. And then he was in his car resting, and then there's a phone ringing, Bob.
I think it's a doorbell. Oh, there it is, a phone ringing. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Bring, bring,
What? Oh, the phone.
bring.
Darn, I was almost there. Can't tell you how many times I heard that.
Different kind of
My
dream, Rick.
my invention came to me in a dream. I built it in a trance state. But now I must analyze and get something on paper, dress it up in logical scientific proofs for the real world, quote.
Bring.
There is something wrong with a world where technology so rudely interrupts dream time. Hello? This is immigration. We have discovered your illegal status in this country. What? But I have a green card. I'm click. And then coming in mail through the mail slot in the front door, they hung up. Now what? And he takes the letter that came in. The IRS. I'm under investigation for not paying taxes, but I didn't. And then there's a knock on the door. Now what? And there's a guy there standing there. He's a ginger, Bob.
Yes, he is. He is a ginger.
And he's holding up his FBI ID. FBI. I'm authorized to search your house. And then the next panel, we see Daredevil, who's up in a tree, watching this whole thing. But it must be cold out because the leaves haven't come up yet on this tree. So Daredevil's standing in a tree with no leaves.
Yeah, he's clearly visible.
Yes. I don't know how anyone's missing him.
There's a guy on a big branch on a tree in your front yard
with a bright red costume.
Right.
And Daredevil thinks to himself, heartbeat indicates he's telling the truth. So he actually is FBI. It's almost like every cop is a criminal. Hoo, hoo. Comes full circle, Bob.
No, it does, yeah.
By the way, I gotta tell you about this Sympathy for the Devil Rolling Stone song. So me and my buddies back in the day. So you know we were in high school in the mid to late 80s, and so this song had been out for a while. But classic rock kind of makes its cyclical, right? And so we're listening to classic rock, and we would get into Rolling Stones and Beatles and Who and Led Zeppelin, all that, right? And we would be playing this. We'd be in the car, and the song, right? Sympathy for the Devil, right? And you just want to sing along. You just want to do the hoo 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 hoo, right? We had a rule. If you started with the hoo hoo, you were not allowed to stop until the song was over. You had to do every single hoo hoo. There's a lot of hoo hoos in that song.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it just goes on and on
rule.
and on.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
That'll teach them.
And then the FBI agent says there are reports of contraband hidden here. And then Daredevil thinks to himself, now he's lying, right? Because he can hear the heartbeat and he knows when someone's lying. Another heartbeat behind me. What about a warrant or something? I don't need one. What's that odor? It's cocaine on the G-Man. Does he mean to plant it? And then he turns to Captain America. Captain America, I believe. I'm going in there. You might as well help. How'd you know I was here? Oh, heck. Lead on, Daredevil. So Cap thinks he's all like a ninja, like coming up in the middle of the day in a wide open neighborhood, walking down the sidewalk in his big blue costume, that somehow he was going to creep up on Daredevil. So the guy is I keep referring to him as the guy. What's his name?
Victor?
Victor? Yeah, all right, Victor. I'm not going to say his last name again. That was just too hard. So Victor's in there talking to the FBI agent who is just kind of going through ransacking his house. I got nothing to hide, but aren't there rules about, hey, do you have to throw things around? And then Cap and Daredevil are now in the house. No, he doesn't. And you're right, Victor. This man must show a warrant. Wow, Cap. Hey, thanks, both of you. Wow. Warrant, badge, and orders. And Daredevil goes up and puts his fingers into the FBI agent's chest, and Cap's right there behind him. And there's a look of distress on the FBI agent's face. And Daredevil says, now. Wow. What would you do? Daredevil and Cap came up and said, I want to see everything right now.
Yeah, well, I think I'd show it to them, but because he doesn't, it does lead you to suspect that something is amiss.
Indeed. So next page, uh, just paperwork. I'll be back with it. You won't be back. You in some kind of trouble? I'd like to know how you two know each other. I like to know why you were following Victor. Victor, you're on TV. Hey, come meet my wife, Nora. And then we get to the wife, in the living room, and she's watching TV. And the guy on the TV looks very much like a Ted Koppel.
That is definitely Ted Koppel. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A mentally disturbed man staged a bit of a cruel trickery at the town center today, building up false hopes on onlookers that he had invented a flying car. Obviously, a hoax. Police search for the charlatan. But my car does fly. So we cut to the next page, and it's later that night in upstate New York, and we have Daredevil in costume, Captain America in costume, who are hanging out on Victor and Nora's covered front porch. And I like this because Daredevil, he's kind of sitting on the railing and propped up with his back up against one of the beams, and Cap leaning against the other beam, and Daredevil looks relaxed.
Yeah.
Cap looks distraught
He does.
in their physical about, right?
Yeah.
It's just different, Daredevil. The mood of the country, it's changing. Haven't you noticed? I've noticed the rage of the poor, angry at the obvious wealth around them, and the racism. Yes. So much hate between races, between classes. There's such a gap between the rich and the poor. In New York, it's like a third world country living at the feet of elite corporate kings. Strange, too, to watch Eastern Europe, the rebellions around the world for equality and a chance at a better life. It's as if America is lagging behind. Exactly. Power and wealth are so concentrated, and all we do is cut social programs. In Berlin, Poland, even the Soviet Union, people are making demands and being heard. The world is changing, but America will be the last to change. Of course, they are attacking Victor. His car threatens the oil industry. This country stands for progress and technology, but it really stands for is planned obsolescence. The auto, oil, military, industrial complex would never allow a non polluting, cheap fuel car to exist. Strange. I've talked to Captain America before. He usually stays so cool and restrained. I've never seen him so rarefied, so outspoken. Even what he's saying, I would have guessed he'd view such ideas as subversive. So we turn the page, and Cap continues. And he puts his arms out in anger. How can they expect me to continue to wear the flag of a country that does such things? When Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense, a book that helped inspire the American Revolution, it was a call to throw off the tyranny of a monarchy to get rid of the elite ruling class. And they did it. America gained her independence. But did she? Sometimes I think all we did was replace king and crown with the royal aristocracy of the corporate elite. Man is still tyrannized by the corporate kings. This flag is like my skin. I wrap myself in it. I believe in it. Find my heart. Protect me. But sometimes it's a skin I ache to jump out of. Victor is a true American, an immigrant with a dream, an inventor. Is that what this country has come to stand for? A dream crusher? I don't know why I wear this flag anymore. Do you know what I mean, Daredevil? Why do you wear the devil suit? What do you stand for? I don't always know. But I do know this country was also formed by the Native American Indians that were here first. They also had dreams that were crushed. The Indian believed that the source of all authority was the self. They were fiercely independent. And I think that's the place to start with the self. We'll talk more later. Nora, is something wrong? So Daredevil already hears Nora coming out to the door. That's why he says to Cap, we'll talk about this later. And then Nora comes through the door. I'm not sure. My husband is a special man. And I know this will sound crazy, but he listens to his dreams. You see, Victor has nothing written down, no formulas or plans. He's sleeping now to try and redream his dream. Until then, the car cannot be destroyed. If the car is destroyed, it can't be rebuilt. Interesting. So he dreams how to make things. He doesn't write it down. He dreams them and then he does them, but then he can't replicate them.
Right. It's like an intuition. He intuits how to invent things, but yeah, he doesn't necessarily. And this, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he even has the technical skills. He just sees it and does it, but is unable to replicate it potentially.
So I cut to the next page, and Bob, I want to get to this advertisement. Right? There's an advertisement here for back issues. And those are always fun, right?
Yeah.
You know, you look at those, you're like, I could get that for $3, and it's a $40 comic today's times, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Any good deals?
You know, I'm not looking at the deals, but I am looking at the things that stand out. So they have titles in alphabetical order, and it doesn't really seem to matter who the publisher is. And you can tell by looking at this of what was popular during this time. So some of the titles actually have like the titles to the comic, right? Like, so like the logo that's on the comic as the title. And the ones that they decided to do: Aliens, Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Punisher, RoboCop,
Okay.
X-Men, and The Simpsons. So in 1990,
Yeah.
those were the hot books.
Yeah. Huh.
And the rest of these were just, you know, listed by normal by title, whereas the other ones got the graphic treatment.
Yeah.
I forgot how hot RoboCop was at one particular time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But great movie, popular movie at the time. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what's in those grab bags. I want the
Oh, I
grab
know.
bags. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a Batman grab bag for $4.95, an investment bag for $7,
Oh, it's almost
and then a
good to pass
big
up.
surprise bag for $15.
It's empty. Yeah.
Yeah, surprise.
Surprise!
I don't know. You got 50 books for 50 comics, 50 totally random comics. You wouldn't believe the great comics in here. 50 comics for $15.
All right, that I would do that.
Yeah, how much is that of a comic, Bob?
I don't know. Do I look like a math whiz?
We all know that you can't do math or sports.
That's right. I can't do math.
Just listen to the last episode.
Right. Yeah. Math or sports, not my thing.
Yeah. All right. So the next page is in his mind. I guess Victor is dreaming and he's flying in his car, and I heard, Nora says, I heard him cry out that someone was trying to destroy his car. I know it's just a dream, but. And then Daredevil says to Cap, Nora's right. I just heard something in the garage. And they cut to the garage, and there's like 7 guys in the garage with like axes and pipes and wrenches. It looks like the things that you can kill people with in the game Clue.
That's
right?
Exactly. You got it. You nailed it. Yeah.
Yes. It was Mr. Peacock in the garage with a wrench.
Yeah. The guy with the purple overcoat. Yeah. With the pipe wrench.
Yeah. Watch. I just said Mr. Peacock. Someone's gonna like correct me. Well, it's actually Mrs. Peacock or like whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
You know. Um, and then they're like, Herb, we got to get here fast. Oh no, too late. Someone's coming. And then we cut to this page. Oh, we cut to this big gigantic splash page, Bob, and it is Captain America and Daredevil running to the rescue. And Daredevil says, "Back off! Don't touch that car. Put down that hammer." Daredevil, they're not listening. I hear you. And then the next page, they just go into it, and Daredevil and Cap just start beating up the guys. Come on, boys. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to. But if we have to, we will. And as they are fighting these guys, next page, and the car's kind of getting destroyed in the process. But the next page, we have a really cool panel of Daredevil flipping. And it's one of those pages, Bob, multiple characters in the same panel to show action. I love that. Can't you see how hopeless this is? We don't want to have to hurt you. And, because different things are happening, like Daredevil's ducking. So the guy with this big lead pipe misses Daredevil, but he hits the car. Right. And then Daredevil hits somebody, goes into the car. Something else happens, goes into the car. And Daredevil's like, "That's it, Cap. That's all of them." But Victor wakes up from his dream. "No, my car. Look at the car. It's ruined. We didn't protect the car." And I'm saying this in Cap's angry voice, by the way, because, he's on ice. "We failed, Daredevil. Look, my husband's gone. He left a note to meet him here in the morning. I'm frightened. He woke screaming from a nightmare. Don't worry. Nothing will hurt him. I swear." Now, all right, Bob. I don't know about the version that you're reading, but the one I'm reading, Cap's talking, and he says, "Don't worry, nothing will hurt him." And then it cuts to a close-up of a mask, and it looks like Daredevil's mask.
Yeah.
And it's in red.
Yeah.
And Daredevil finishes Cap's sentence and says, "I swear."
He also has he has super hearing, super smell, all these. He obviously has the ability to see what someone else is going to say and finish their sentences.
Yes. That's a radar sense that's an annoying radar sense, right?
Really?
Can you imagine being like married to that? You're about to say something and then they finish it for you.
Finish it for you. Yeah.
It's almost like sometimes what we do here.
Yeah, sometimes.
And that morning in town center, and we cut to the beginning of the comic where Victor is standing on top of the roof wrapped in the flag. "It's that crackpot, the one who tried to trick us with the fake flying car. The police are rushing to the rooftop, but it may be too late. Poor guy, thought his car could fly. He lied to us about that car." And then Nora says, "No, he wasn't lying. The TV lied. Victor. He threw us off by telling us to be at his home. Let's head up there." And then we cut to the next page, and Victor, we get to the point where he's jumping off the ledge, wrapped in the flag. "This is what I think of you, America. Oh God, we're too late." And then you see you just see his arm holding the flag. So basically he's pulling the flag off of him and the flag flies up in the air. And then you see a close-up look of Daredevil and he's smiling. That's interesting. This man is jumping to his death, but Daredevil is smiling. And then you see him on the next page. He is flying away from the flag because he's got a jetpack on, Bob.
All right. Well, that makes sense.
It flies. He's flying. And then Nora says, that's my Victor. He dreamt his dream again. He can fly. That's the man I know and love. And then the flag slowly drops to the street, and Cap catches it and holds it close to him. And this is the flag I know and love. The end. Well, Bob, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin, Rick. We talked a bit about this. I don't know, was it last episode, right? We talked about like this is not entirely Cap, right? His reactions, right? His over the topness, his rudeness, his lack of self-discipline when it comes to saying everything that pops into his head.
And we also talked about last episode too, is that, when under the influence, things that you normally wouldn't say, you're a little bit less inhibition and you are more free to say.
Right. Now I've read this book before, and I know many people have, and I will be the first to admit that I never really connected it to the Streets of Poison. I just thought it was some like one-off Daredevil story that featured Captain America, where the writer had simply written Captain America in a way that was maybe a little bit more forward leaning on some things than we would normally see in Cap's own book.
Mm-hmm.
And then after our conversation last time, I was like, well, okay, now makes sense. He's on ice, and he's going through some issues, and he's saying things that maybe he thinks, but he doesn't normally say. But there's a lot going on in this book. This is a very political book.
Very.
Right. It's a very self-reflective, self-aware, critical book about the American dream. And I think a lot of what Cap says can be attributed to the fact that he is being more free spoken about some things. But Daredevil is saying some stuff too, and he's not on ice. So there's that part of it too. But I do think it's important to read it in the context of Streets of Poison, which is why I'm glad that you recommended that we do so.
Yeah, I agree. Daredevil says some things, but that's not out of character for Matt Murdock. He tends to be a little bit more on the liberal side, and so nothing out of place for him, but certainly out of place for Steve Rogers.
Yeah, but this was a crazy time, right? I mean,
yeah.
We're 1989, 1990, 1991, very, very, very crazy time in terms of our foreign policy and things we were doing in Latin America. And I think I've told a story before where like I was in college, I think it was around 1987, 1988. And like a bunch of I'm using air quotes, Honduran firefighters.
What just happened?
I don't know. I'm like air quotes. I don't know what the heck that was, but
did you see the same thing I saw?
I did. I don't know what the like confetti around me when I did air quotes. But like anyway, we had I don't know what that was, man, but it's a party. So we had all these Honduran firefighters.
You know what? We have nothing but the best special effects on Captain America Comic Book Fans podcast.
Yeah, we don't skip. So I went to a military college, and we had a mountain cold weather rescue team, which were like cadets who did mountain cold weather training because it was in the mountains of Vermont, right? Rescue and combat training and all sorts of stuff. And anyway, these like 25 Honduran firefighters show up. And I'm like, why do we got firefighters from Honduras coming up here to learn firefighting, right? And of course, I was naive at the time, and I really thought they were Honduran firefighters, and they weren't. These were like covert ops guys coming up to do like cold weather warfighting training with like the local National Guard units, and they were staying at our university. But the cover was that they were firefighters, because we were doing a lot of stuff in Latin America at that time. Under the radar in the Bush administration. And the book is really talking about some of that stuff. So, I mean, that stuff was in the minds of readers and the writers and the editors at that time.
Wow, such a politically charged book. I mean, I read some of this, and it could be from today's times, right?
Sure can. I mean, you definitely, you're talking about all the, the tension between new innovation around energy and vehicles and the entrenched oil industry and that tension exists today as well.
Yeah, I mean, when Cap says to Daredevil, the mood of the country, it's changing. Haven't you noticed? And Matt says, I've noticed the rage of the poor, angry at the obvious wealth around them, and the racism. And then Steve says, yes, so much hate between races, between classes.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a gap between the rich and the poor. Yeah, it's you know, I've always said that, some people, you know, they'll say, well, like, things were different when we were kids,
Yeah.
right? And things were,
Yeah.
we didn't do this, we didn't have this. And I come back and I say, well, we did, we just didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
ability to see it and to share it
Yeah.
and to 24/7 news cycle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so these things happened, we just weren't aware of them because we were oblivious.
Right.
and
And,
and
and when we were kids, we weren't really paying attention anyway.
Yeah, but even the
Yeah.
adults were oblivious
Well,
because
sure.
they
Yeah.
didn't
No,
have,
don't
unless
argue
you
that. Yeah.
listen to the 6 o'clock news and then the 11 o'clock news, and then you picked up your local paper, and even that didn't cover 1/10 of what is being covered
Yeah.
nowadays with the 24/7 news cycle. So I don't think things have gotten necessarily worse, and maybe they have to some extent, but not to a night and day extent.
Hmm.
And I just think we're just more aware of it now.
Possibly. You make a good argument. Make a good. I don't know if I'm convinced, but I do think you drive home the point that like these things have always gone on, and comics have always had something to say about them. Right? Comics always, whether it's the 60s, whether it's the 70s, 80s, and now 90s, comics always has something to say about the milieu, right? The
Right.
world outside our windows, as Stan Lee had so famously said. And in this book, obviously, is tackling some issues that were very much in the forefront of people's minds in the United States and around the world back in 1990. So the difference is here in this book is how Cap is dealing with it, and again, it goes back to he's got his inhibitions lowered
Yeah.
for some reason, and we're exploring that obviously in the Streets of Poison story.
Yep. All right. So, Bob, you go first. What is your favorite panel from this
Oh,
story?
all right. I think I'm going to go with I think it's page 16, Rick. Boop, boop,
Okay.
boop. Oh, and I'm going to it now.
Did you just go, hoo?
Yeah, I did. Page 15. Sorry, page 15.
Okay. Don't do it.
It's the second panel, Rick.
Okay.
It's the second panel.
All right.
Yeah. And it's the one where you mentioned where Daredevil's leaning up against the post with his left foot resting on the crossbeam, and Cap's kind of leaning against the post, looking over the railing, and his shield sitting on the swing chair. I like this because I like what Cap is saying here. I think it's important what Cap is saying here. And even if it's out of character, I do think, because I have wrestled with this when I think about Cap, like how does Cap continue to do the things that he does and fight for the American dream when it often feels like he is betrayed by those who are similarly entrusted with promoting the American dream? And like he very rarely comes out, he has on occasion, but he very rarely comes out strongly to call those out who really are preventing the American dream from being fulfilled for a lot of folks. But in this panel, he's not doing that. He is letting it all hang out, and I like that, and I think I think it's important, for me anyway. And that's one of the reasons I've read this issue before many times, and I've really enjoyed it, irrespective of the connection to the Streets of Poison.
Yeah. Well put. And I agree 100%.
So what do you
Uh,
got? Oh, I'm sorry. What do you got?
no, I'm on the same page. I'm just going to do the next panel.
Ooh,
I'm not. I haven't always been a big fan of Mark Bagley's art, but I will say I am really impressed with the layouts here, because as I mentioned it when I was reading this, or Daredevil looks a little bit more relaxed, Cap looks a little bit more tense, and I thought it was really purposely done and well done by Bagley in the layouts of showing this. And so I think the third panel on this page continues that, and you see the front of now the perspective. You see the front of Daredevil as he's kind of leaning back, and he's resting, and he's got his left arm on his left knee. And you see Cap kind of leaning forward, and of course I like what Cap's saying here, in that like's a strong word, but I think it's profound, and I do think it's something that really stands out. So, kudos to us for picking basically the same panels,
right.
same page, panels 2 and 3.
Great minds think alike, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what about t-shirt worthy? You got anything that
Oh, Bob. No,
jumps out at you?
that's easy, my friend. I am going with page 22. I need to put my readers on.
Rick's senses have gone in the opposite direction from Mac Murdock.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, I'm putting this on a t-shirt, my friend. This
Oh
right
yeah.
there, Cap and Daredevil on the same page as they are jumping into the fray. That would look cool on a t-shirt, don't you think?
I do. I know that's a great splash right there, and it's great to see the two of them together. So I think that'd be a great t-shirt.
What are you putting on a t-shirt, my friend?
I'm going with the fourth panel on page 13. So that's the one where Cap and Daredevil are leaning in toward the FBI agent, and Murdoch is poking him in the chest,
Yeah,
and he
good one.
says warrant, badge, and orders. So next time I go to a protest, that's what I want on my shirt.
Yeah, right. I like that. That
Yeah,
looks good.
good demo
Uh,
shirt.
what's going in your time capsule?
All right. So I'm gonna go with Sam's Mags and Rags from page 4.
Really?
Yeah, I am, because I don't know. I don't know. You're in the you're a big city, Newark. You work in Newark.
No,
I
but
know.
I've been into Manhattan,
Yeah,
in New York plenty of times.
sure, right. So I don't know. I haven't been to
They
Manhattan.
still exist,
Do
Bob.
they? They
Yeah,
do. Well,
it's
they
not a
don't in a lot of other cities that
okay.
used to have them. So where I grew up, they don't have them anymore. In most places, like I like most places in Washington D.C., where I've worked over the years, have transitioned to those little metal boxes on the street corner where you put in your what started at 25 cents and now is like $1.50, for a Washington Post or right, or New York Times or Wall Street Journal or whatever. And so these newspaper stands, self standalone stands that some proprietor ran on the sidewalk, that's gone in many places, as is a lot of magazines and a lot of print
Hmm.
newspapers, right? I mean, it's a
Yeah,
dying
unfortunately,
art.
yeah.
Yeah, right. So that's going in my time capsule, because I do kind of miss those days. I miss like flipping through stuff, even though it says right on the front of Sam's Mags and Rags that it's not a library.
Right. Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Back when I used to own a comic book store, um, I think I had something up there. Not that it wasn't a library, but something about, reading the comics or whatever,
yeah,
you know, because you do get a certain percentage of people who come into the store
yeah,
who just stand there and read.
right, yeah.
And it's
I,
like, I didn't buy them and put them on my shelves for you just to stand there and read. Now, if it was a regular customer,
yeah,
like somebody who I knew who's going to buy stuff, no problem.
yeah,
That's fine. Like maybe he'll read something, and or she will read something, and
yeah,
they'll be like, hey, this interests me. Maybe I'll pick it up.
yeah,
Uh, but Yeah, I used to give the stink eye
Oh
just
yeah.
to those people who just kind of come in and just stand there and just read everything and put that down and go in there, read another one, put that down,
Yeah.
read, and then they leave. Like, come on,
I always wonder
really?
with the business model of I'm sure you remember Borders Books and
Hmm.
Music was a great store, went out of business
They
years
had
ago.
benches for reading.
They had benches for reading, right? And even like Barnes and Nobles now, they have the cafes, right?
Yeah.
And people just get like stacks of magazines, go and get our coffee, and I'm like, how does this business model work? I
Well,
don't
I'll
understand.
tell you what it is. They make more money off of that one coffee,
Yeah,
right?
probably
Right?
so.
They
Yeah,
paid they
yeah,
paid 10
yeah,
cents for that coffee and they
yeah,
charge you 350 or
yeah,
something. And
yeah.
right. So they
That's
that
got to
was
be
their
it.
business model, right?
Yeah, right. So what do you got going in your time capsule, Rick?
I'm gonna go with page 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with it's the page where Victor is there in the beginning talking about his car, and it's got all the different endorsements on the car and
Uh-huh.
everything. Kind of it just felt very dated, for a lot of
Yeah.
reasons.
Uh-huh.
The car looked kind of dated and um,
The members
you
only
know,
jacket. But those are coming
yeah,
back, just so you know.
yeah. Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
hear the mullet's coming back too. Here's the thing, Bob. I won't be able to participate.
Well, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
There's no party in the back for you.
Actually, I probably could. I probably could. I probably could do business on the side and party in the back. It'd take me a little while to get there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I probably could.
You got
Now
the
that I think
party and
about it.
you got the party going on in the front. So
Do
you're,
I?
yeah. Oh yeah. Look at
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, good enough.
Yeah.
So for those out there who want to know more about the Streets of Poison, we are covering this. It's the second Wednesday of every month. We are covering the Streets of Poison. It's a really cool story written by Mark Grunwald, drawn by Ron Lim, and it's got all star characters in it, right? So Daredevil makes an appearance. We've got Kingpin, we got Bullseye, we've got Black Widow, Diamondback, and so on. And everybody in Red Skull, right? So Cap is on ice, and he's what we're seeing now in this Daredevil issue. It gets worse. He goes over the top. He gets more paranoid. He gets more violent. It gets really bad. In fact, Bob, the next Streets of Poison we cover, which is part 4, issue 3, Captain America 375, uh, it's Cap versus Daredevil. So the two of them battle it out. So
Wow.
come back for that in episode 183. Next episode, 181, Bob, we're going to go back to current time of 2024, and we're going to cover we're actually covering Avengers Twilight. We're going to cover the first issue. It's a 6-issue miniseries written by Chip Zdarsky and art by Daniel Acuna. And it is a futuristic story. It takes place about 30 years in the future. And it's an old aged Cap along with old aged other characters in the Avengers and other Marvel characters like Matt Murdock, like Luke Cage and others. And it's a really, really cool story, kind of along the lines of DC's Kingdom Come or Batman Dark Knight Returns or Wolverine Old Man Logan. So we're going to check out issue 1 of that series, and we're going to do it panel by panel. So make sure you come back next episode for that.
Yep, that's going to be great. Everybody should dabble their toe or dip your toe into the Avengers Twilight series, and I'm glad we're going to do that because it is a phenomenal read. So I'm
It really
excited
is.
about doing this.
Yeah, it really is. I enjoyed it. I think I've read, the first half of the 6-issue miniseries so far, and it's really great. And then, listen, spoiler alert: the following episode, we're going to have the writer Chip Zdarsky on. So for Daredevil fans out there who love Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, myself included, you're going to want to come back in a couple episodes for our conversation with Chip on that. So next episode, get a little precursor, dip your toe, as Bob said, into Avengers Twilight.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that, Rick. Lots to get ready for. I can't wait to get on that psychoanalytic couch and think about that upcoming cover.
All right. You know what, Bob? There are multiple covers for Avengers Twilight #1, all the different variants. So I'm gonna want a psychoanalysis of each particular cover. Okay.
All right. Okay. That's gonna probably take a couple beverages to get me in the right
Fair enough.
Mind. Yeah.
Looking forward to that. All right, Bob. As always, it is so much fun been wrapping cap with you.
See you next week.
All right. And he's Bob Lucius. I'm Rick Verbanis. And you, please, if you don't mind, please go on to YouTube. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and give us a review. Any of the podcasts that you listen to us on, please give us a review. It really does help us, and we really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening to the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.